Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, party people, and the place to be. It is Dave Valente and the Political Deep Dive. Thank you for joining us. Give us a like, share, subscribe wherever you're watching us from. It really helps us. We really appreciate it and gets us more people watching the show. So tonight we were talking about the Liberal Party USA, party in the USA. And joining us as always, AJ. AJ, how are you doing tonight?
I am fantastic. I am so excited to have a Miley Cyrus song stuck in my head now, buddy. So excited.
Yeah. And joining us tonight from the Liberal Party USA, Chris Lucchini. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good.
From the fantastic state of New Mexico. How are you doing? I've known Chris because we were on the LNC together for many years, for a couple of years before this current board. And now we've got new things going on ever since the 2022 convention. I've been really good about putting out different ways for people to be involved in the liberty movement that are not the Libertarian Party. We've had the Pirate Party, we've had Keystone Party, we've had other organizations on, basically organizations that are now involved with the Liberal Party USA. So wanted to get on, knew that this was coming out and wanted to get out and support this and give people the idea of the ability to check this out. So, Chris, tell us about well, first off, let's find out about you. What do you do? How do you do all that good stuff?
Okay, so my background. I'm a PhD physicist. If anybody gives a crap, which I mostly don't. I'm a small business owner. I own a software company, a oil and gas company that had ambitions to be an alternative energy company, which one of these days may actually make me some money. And I run a gun shop. a very, very small gun shop, which is mostly a public service, because we live out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm the only one in the storefront that will do transfers and the like. So I got involved in the liberty movement. I think I was hatched libertarian back when that meant something. I have, as I was saying previously, there was only one libertarian president candidate I did not vote for, and that was Bob Barr. I didn't vote that particular election season. I was on the LNC with Dave and went through that particular piece of purgatory. And prior to that and after that, for some amount of time, I was also the chair of the Libertarian Party of New Mexico, which I need to put a big asterisk up, has absolutely nothing to do with the National Libertarian Party. We disaffiliated from the National Party in the summer of 22. We knew what was coming. People say that I did it. Actually, I couldn't have stopped it if I wanted to. The vote in the Central Committee was overwhelming, and there was not a thing I could have done about it. So we acted independently. We're a major party. We run candidates. But we do just fine without any of the negative attention that the National Party seems to court. And so we have been, unfortunately, we had a chair that got elected last year. He decided he had to resign shortly before our convention. So I'm the chair again of the Libertarian Party of New Mexico. So in terms of Liberal Party, this was started in the summer of 2022. It was called the Association of Liberty State Parties. We wanted to have a generic name that was completely forgettable. And we succeeded admirably well. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody actually knew what the L stood for. It was initially founded by Connor Voskuil, mostly him, and then myself. We had some other people come on board. There was a transition last year where we decided that we wanted to be more outward facing rather than just a refuge for Liberty State parties to get away from affiliation with a toxic national party. And we essentially reinvented ourselves, not really, because we kind of always were this way, as a classical liberal party, right? We officially reorganized as the Liberal Party. That's been, so we are a Liberal Party doing business as classical Liberal Party. We have the initial states that were in the Association for Liberty State Parties were New Mexico, Virginia, and Massachusetts. Those states are still in. We've added Pennsylvania. The Keystone Party changed their name to the Liberal Party Pennsylvania, and they have joined our association as well. We have another state that will be announcing that it has joined the Liberal Party here probably a week from tomorrow. We have probably 6 state organizations that are in the process of formation. We expect that those will be onboarded by the end of June. Most of them will, anyway. So we are not courting. While it is true that a lot of the people that formed this came from the Libertarian Party, that's not our target. Our target is people who believe in classical liberalism in a political sense, right?
So talk about classical liberalism. How does it differ from libertarianism?
So classical liberalism, how does it differ? Well, let's start with the commonality. A lot of it is the same. The part that isn't the same is the anarchistic element for the most part, right? So I used to call myself an anarchist for a very long time. My heart's still in that direction, but I've met people. And I've had a certain amount of real world experience. When men become angels, anarchy will work just fine. Until that time, how about we get 95% of the way there and then we can have that discussion again. Classical liberals are much more dedicated to working within a political process, they're explicitly minarchist, or at least minarchist, rather than being anything further than that. Well, they believe sort of you got to be a little careful here because there's more of an international perspective. When you say liberal internationally, it has it's classical liberal with a whole bunch of cultural overlay. So we're not adopting the current definition of liberal in the rest of the world. So yes, I mean, many of the things are very similar. Well, we believe in self-ownership, that you have the right to your body to do with it what you will. We're basically against drug prohibition in all its forms. We're pro self-defense, pro, in the U.S. context, Second Amendment, but intrinsic right to effective self-defense. But not just for individuals, but also for, guess what? Nation states actually exist. Shocking, I know this. Libertarian philosophy tends to say, oh, yeah, that's just a temporary thing that's going to go away. Much like the communists say, the state's going to go away. Yeah, no. So we recognize that nation states exist and they have a right to self-defense. We are 100% against aggressive war, but not against defensive war, right?
Sure.
And economic policy is, again, I think probably more closely aligned with true libertarian philosophy, which is to say economic activity should be unregulated, but where economic activity externalizes harm to others, that is in fact a legitimate realm for the night watchman state to step in and regulate that harm, aka pollution, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. So we're much more oriented to the real world as opposed to the pretend world. We don't live in fantasy land. We recognize that we have to operate within the world that exists. So any other questions?
So, I mean, I would say that one of the biggest differences between the current iteration of the party that we all came from and the Liberal Party would be more of a focus on actual being a political party. Like there isn't, we aren't just here as a debate club or a drinking club. Could happen, absolutely, but the actual function of the political party is to run candidates, win elections, and affect changes at the legislative level.
Right. And so part of that is we crafted a new set of bylaws, which will go into effect somewhere between a week from Monday and the end of June. Right. So, and those bylaws are basically the voting members of the Liberal Party are representatives selected by the state organizations. They can select them any way they want. Lottery, duel it on, don't care. So we do not get into those affiliates business. One of the things we have is it's a 2/3 majority to bring a state party on and a simple majority to take them out. If you have a state affiliate that goes nuts and starts posting about
tweeting racist stuff.
Well, I was going to go with the hanging trans people, but we'll go with your
either
example.
way. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. So, so basically, we have a very low bar for kicking out assholes.
I love it already. Okay.
So we have these representatives form a steering committee. The steering committee hires staff members that are the executive council, or committee, I should say, and they're paid, right? So they're at will. They can be terminated anytime for any reason or no reason at all. 1099 staff members. They operate independently. They propose budgets. One of the big problems with lots of political parties is you end up electing celebrities, people who give good speech but are wildly incompetent at actually managing, administrating, getting their job done.
I was on the LNC, so I mean, shit.
Yeah. The executive committee is 5 people. That's it. And they operate independently. The steering committee can fire them at will. Um, People who donate and people who get elected as Liberal Party candidates can become part of what's called the Central Committee. The Central Committee will meet every other year to do basically platform, and there is a platform. I will tell you, this is something I gave in on. I did not want the party to have a platform. We have a statement of values, which I'm totally down with, and you can go look at liberalpartyusa.org. You can find our values. Platform is supposed to be items that we can initiate legislation on, right? That's our definition of a platform. If it's a feel-good thing, it's a value, right? And the values are eternal. Platforms are transient depending on what's going on. And so anyway, so we have a platform that will be rolled out here shortly. Boy, you're gonna have to blow that up for most people.
Yeah. So this is the website down at the bottom, and if you want to go there, check it out. But that's the value statement. I do have to say, I love the fact that you're using a buffalo as the symbol. That is, I'm totally down with it. I love the buffalo.
That logo involved duels at dawn and bloodshed.
Oh,
I understand that branding is important. I also can't bring myself to care. So other people fought this battle.
sure.
Anyway, but the point is, I mean, there's actually good reasons for it, right? A uniquely American symbol.
Yep.
And so something that is not actually been used by pretty much any other political party. So you actually can find some stuff back in the very early 1900s. Anyway, so yeah, so we have a platform. We get asked, are we going to have a presidential candidate? Let me ask you this question: if you were somebody earnestly wanting to become elected to the presidency of the United States, would you come seeking a Liberal Party USA endorsement, given that we have 5 states, that you would possibly get ballot access in, right? So New Mexico, go ahead.
Well, you got 2 states. I would say if I am, like, if I'm running in a party like the Pirate Party,
Mhm.
I might seek the nomination. There's some synergy between the 2 parties. And you have states that they certainly don't have ballot access in. That might be something I would look if I was a candidate like that. But I mean, I understand your point. If all 4 states gave all of their electoral votes, certainly it would impact the election, especially with Pennsylvania and Virginia.
But
yeah.
This is the other thing that distinguishes the Liberal Party from other things. We live in reality.
Exactly.
Okay, so the right now, and just so everybody knows, I will not be leadership in the Liberal Party after the end of June. I'm stepping aside for other people. The steering committee will select candidates and so forth. But anyway, as of right now, we do not intend to run a presidential candidate. And that's, realistically, no candidate with gravitas has approached us, right? If Gary Johnson came and wanted to run for Liberal Party, boy, I'd probably have a seizure. Number one, knowing him personally, I would wonder if he had a gun at the back of his head. But more seriously, yeah, that would be a different situation. But we don't have that. So as it stands right now, I don't anticipate we will have a candidate on the ballot in the fall. Now,
Sure.
We have explicitly said that member states can do whatever they want, right? Member states, if they want to nominate a local person, they want to do whatever they want to do, that's fine. We do not control that. Going forward, we anticipate 4 years from now that we will have a POTUS candidate, and that will be one selected by the Liberal Party.
Excellent. So you are going to have candidates, though, because you're running for office right now.
Correct.
So each of the, and I know Pennsylvania has their candidates, and other states will have theirs.
Right.
So you are uh, right now you're focusing more on the local aspect than anything.
Right. So, Liberal Party has, we believe we're going to have two U.S. Senate candidates, and at least three and possibly four U.S. House candidates on the November ballot. Some of this is, you don't understand how petitioning works and everything else, right?
Sure.
But yeah, we do anticipate having federal candidates. Partly it's a requirement to become a nationally recognized political party. The member states are focusing on local winnable elections, right? The one of the failings of the lots of minor parties is they don't actually get anybody elected. The current iteration of the Libertarian Party has done a spectacular job at failing at that, even more so than previously. But you've got to get elected, and you've got to get elected to a position that matters. That's actually one of the ways to become a central committee member in the Liberal Party is get elected to any kind of office that actually has decision-making power. I'm sorry. I apologize to my wife. She got elected to a university advisory board where the decisions and the votes don't matter. So that wouldn't qualify. But if you're any kind of legislative position, governor, state house and senate, and city council for cities of significant size. So those are all races that we are going to be targeting. And obviously, executive offices at the state level, right? State attorney general and judges and so forth.
So, question from the audience we have.
Question.
What if Chase Oliver wins the LP nomination and asked for your endorsement? Is that something you would consider? Or just leave it to the states that are in.
What I will tell you is I will not be in a position of authority to make that decision when the time comes. So while New Mexico will still have a vote on the steering committee, that I'm in the process of finding another representative other than myself to be that representative to the Liberal Party. I've heard that question, and I find it interesting that people are, I guess people are emotionally invested in his candidacy is all I have to say, right? I find it hard to believe that the organization that's having its convention next week will end up with returned to sanity. Let's put it that way. I can't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Chase is viewed as the last best chance, along with Mark Rutherford as chair, last best chance for the party to emerge from beyond 2024 as a viable political party. But today we saw that the Libertarian Party of Michigan has kicked out many of its delegates. They're trying to reduce the size of the incumbent party or incumbent caucus vote within the Libertarian Party, and I think that the leadership of the party at this point is going to do whatever it can to basically prevent this party from being reconquered and brought back to some level of sanity. Even if Rutherford wins, I think that you're still going to have to deal with the bad people. That's just the long and the short of it is that how much do you want to deal with those folks going forward, or do you want a clean break? Now you're going to DC next week for the convention.
Yes. No, I'm not going. I'm not going for the convention. I'm going for a Liberal Party event.
And the Liberal Party event, we can talk about that as well. The Liberal Party, they're having a happy hour on Sunday night, counter programming, I guess, when you consider the gala is that night at the same time. But it's a good chance for people who are I think, likely to be very disaffected about what goes on. And you'll know by Friday. Friday, you'll have a very good indication of how this is going to go next weekend. But Sunday night, there's the Liberal Party get together, sponsored by Project Liberal, and you can talk about what the difference between Project Liberal is and the Liberal Party USA. Um, but if you want information on it, let me get my
Okay,
caption here.
yeah, so let me just address that. Okay, so there's Classical Liberal Caucus, which is a caucus of the Libertarian Party, which is nice for them. I'm familiar with a lot of people that are in it. I share some of their values, but they're a entity associated with the Libertarian Party, so they're on their own. There is a happy hour sponsored by Project Liberal, which is a PAC, which is not us, not Liberal Party. As you know, PACs and parties cannot play too closely together. We don't. I actually am not familiar with their schedule. I was unaware of the happy hour until a few days ago. We are holding a meeting, an administrative business meeting, 7:30 to 9 at the Royal Sonesta Hotel, same hotel, on Monday. That is a business meeting. We're interviewing executive officer candidates, and it is a opportunity for the state chairs to get together and talk with the current board. We are having a meet and greet event, 11:30 to 1:30, same location, same hotel, on Monday. But yeah, so while we may be in the same building, Project Liberal and the Liberal Party, we're not, we're separate, very separate.
Yeah, and that's, you have to be. So, but yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to be in DC this weekend. I hope to see a lot of my friends there. I did put out a post today saying who's going to be there, and I have a lot of people that I really love and adore are going to be there. So, looking forward to seeing you. Come on by the Royal Sonesta Hotel and check out the happy hour, which is going to happen on Sunday, and the meetings that are going to happen on Monday. There should be a good time, and probably a place that you should be looking at to invest your time and money in the future based off of what happens this weekend. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. So. And we definitely could, we are, the Liberal Party convention is going to be December 7th and 8th in Houston, Texas. So that we're still haven't quite gotten the hotel nailed down, but we should have that on the webpage and announced here within the next day or two.
Great question.
Daryl Perry asks, did you adopt Roner or something more sensible?
I believe we explicitly rejected Roner. I think we're using the rules of parliamentary procedure.
Okay.
And so, which honestly, if you look at it, it's about half the thickness of Ronar and not quite so weaponizable. We did this mostly in honor of our favorite abuser of Ronar. Which, believe it or not, is not actually a requirement of the state in order to have a political party. Our party is Ronar. We have some bylaws that if we ever have to get to point of coding Ronar or any other rule book, we've lost the plot, right? We are very much oriented on getting policy changed and people elected in order to get policy changed. The ultimate goal is policy change. One of those mechanisms is to get people elected.
Not to have pedantic debates about bylaw here or Roner this and chapter and verse. Yeah.
And this is the other thing that I was, a bunch of us, when we were looking at this, how have third parties died? And a lot of them have died because they were cult of personality, because they were formed as a cult of personality. Yeah. Other ones because narcissism is probably the most addictive drug ever created, bar none, including anything else you can think of. When we entertain narcissists, we lose the plot, we lose the thread. This is about creating a more liberal, inclusive, libertarians or liberal society that honors individual rights and allows people to flourish. without oppressive government and so forth. It's not about you being on stage and getting your mug in front of a camera. If I had my druthers, every single member of the executive committee and the steering committee would be completely anonymous and no one would know their name. Unfortunately, I couldn't put a bylaw into the fact that they had to use pseudonyms, but I thought about it. You get an avatar and a pseudonym, and you never get to show your face, or you're immediately fired.
Maybe and I hate
No.
to you say this, but put a ban on podcasts. AJ, what you got?
Okay, policy changes. Top three over the next 2 years that you would like to see.
So me
I
personally,
know you're not going to be in charge after June,
yeah.
but
Well,
yes, you personally, because everybody else is not here.
Yeah, well, me personally, because I don't speak, I cannot speak for the Liberal Party in this regard. So, the at the national level, I think things. Okay, I'm going to give you top three that I think exist in the realm of the possible. Okay, I'm not going to end the Fed. Yeah, we're not. That's nice. I think we can. I think there is a real chance that we could effectively decriminalize all recreational drugs. I think that is something that I didn't say legalize. I said I think that the feds may be able to the next 4 years basically do what they've done with marijuana, deschedule things completely off the schedule. I think that you could take what happened in the last 20 years for cannabis and apply it to most of the rest of the drug universe very quickly, because we've already done it. Okay, so that's one thing that could happen. I think that, and this is probably not a good thing, I think that the socialist insecurity system and all of the adjacent welfare that hangs off of that is going to be in a real crisis because of the growth in spending, right? So this is one of the things we know about the demographics, people putting in, people taking out, but spending is going up per capita, right? More and more people are getting money out in terms of the disability and so forth. We had a big spike during COVID. That disability stuff came back down, but now it's going in the wrong direction. Yeah. And all of these things are at the tail end of that 4 years. I might see that there might be political will to do something about it, and that would be fantastic. 4 years might be a little too.
Well, it's the debt. The problem is the amount of money we're spending on Social Security, with the debt going up and the amount of money that we have to service the debt. Well, it's going to make it almost impossible to continue either one.
Right. Oh, well, because the obvious solution for the Social Security problem is to shovel more revenue from other sources into the fund, right?
Yeah.
They have all these cutesy things like lift the cap, tax people to infinity. That come on, people, don't make salary. People aren't making W-2 wages above a few $100,000. It's just not a thing. And so while it feels like good retribution and good, sticking a pitchfork to your enemies, it doesn't actually do any good. So huge increases in Social Security tax rate. Again, this is what they're going to go for. These are the standard things that politicians are going to want to do. When I think there might be a real chance if we had somebody very articulate to convince people that we have to change the system, that we have to go to make this take it out of the government hands, get everybody into Let me ask you this question: why do we have 403s, 401s? All these other, we have 30 some odd different retirement plans, all in the federal code. Why do we have that many? It's like, this is kind of odd. Why do we? And you know the answer, right? Because there's a consistency that wants that particular plan. And by fragmenting it, a whole bunch of parasites get to feed off the system.
Yeah.
Let's come up with a single way. Again, we live in the real world. We can't wave our magic wands and get where we want to be. Let's try to come up with an incremental approach. have a single unified retirement, public-private doesn't matter, defined contribution, gets a real return, some return other than government bonds for 60 years or whatever it is. You touched on the debt. I think the debt, again, you said 4 years. Give me a little more on that, but the debt's going to get really, really bad.
Oh yeah. Just the money to service the debt is going to take up a massive amount of our income.
And I readily admit to being what is normally known as a pervert. I actually read economic reports for fun. Okay, this is something I actually do, and I enjoy it. It does make me sick to my stomach pretty much all the time, but
yeah,
if people think that interest rates are going to go back to where they were a few years ago, it's just not going to happen anytime soon. And those interest rates and their effect on the interest portion of the debt, when that starts to eat the defense budget and every other budget, when it becomes the single biggest budget item other than, mandatory Social Security, et cetera, we're going to have a really bad time. And I don't see, again, if I could wave my hand, we would have a political leader that had the stones to be able to sit down and essentially force Congress to do something about it. We need massive, massive cuts in spending, everywhere. I mean, anyway, so yeah, the debts, this is what actually brought me to this philosophy a very long time ago when I was a teenager was this kind of deficit spending isn't sustainable, right? It ultimately leads to a horrendous place, and we're getting there fast.
Much faster now. Yeah, I mean, the whole COVID thing, like we borrowed money, we did market liquidity of $4 trillion. You do the 0% interest rates, which just floods the market with money, and the stimulus spending, the PPP, all of that stuff, and it's just, and people are like, why are groceries so expensive now? It's just, why aren't they? Like, this is the natural progression of this shit.
Well, one of the things that one of my economic mistakes way back when, remember during the housing crash, the 2007 or so, we printed a shit ton of money. We did all of the Fed quantitative easing and all this, and I'm like, okay, we're going to have massive inflation. And it didn't happen, oddly enough. Why didn't it happen? And it hit me out of the blue way too late. Oh, because we're running absolutely massive trade deficits. What is the trade deficit? Money goes out of the country and does not come back. You can export your inflation, right? You run a large enough trade deficit, and back then it was Chinese goods and oil. You run a massive trade deficit, you can bleed away a lot of that inflationary effect. We don't have that now. We have successfully onshored a lot of businesses. China, if you think our economic policy is bad, go look at the graphs from China.
Oh yeah, China is ripe for a bad time.
Yeah, you can't plot their stuff on a linear scale. You have to use a log scale. It's that bad. It looks like a joke. But they've been doing quantitative easing and just zero interest rates and everything forever. And
projects to nowhere. Yeah,
etc. So and a lot of that subsidization, right? They subsidized a lot of zero interest non-repayable loans to manufacture goods to be exported to the rest of the world, which got them hard currency back, which I think was the point. That's over, right? You saw that Biden put tariffs on Chinese solar panels. What percent?
After when he was candidate, Biden railed against the Trump administration for doing the same thing. Again, why are our prices going up? Why aren't they going up? It's we're shooting ourselves in the foot every step of the way.
So, little factoid: what percentage of U.S. solar panels come from China?
Ooh, I would
think before the tariffs.
I would say probably above 90.
Any other guesses?
9%.
Less than 1%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this tariff is absolutely flippant meaningless. This is what you do when you want to appease your base: is you announce massive tariffs on something that basically doesn't exist. Our solar panels come from the other Asian countries, right? Vietnam, Cambodia, etc.
Oh my goodness.
So
I knew they came from Asia. I thought they were China, but wow.
Yeah, and that was because we've gone through various periods of threatening to tariff, etc. Chinese solar panels. So what does China do? They go to Vietnam and Cambodia, etc., set up their factories there. I mean, the guy who's getting the money in the end is probably Chinese, but the point is the country of origin evades those tariffs. And this is again is the government by sleight of hand. It's just irritates the heck out of me. But anyway,
yeah, that's pretty good.
So let's see.
Can we do the news quiz with him? Because I bet he could get them all.
I don't know about that.
We need a win. We need a win.
Okay. We were what, 7 for 10 last week?
I don't know. It wasn't great. It was embarrassing. Hurt my feelings.
So
keep in mind, I know nothing about pop culture. Okay, I know there's a person. Yeah, there's a person that's called Beyonce. I do know that. I've heard of a
person that's called Beyonce. I bet there's a few.
Yeah, it's probably a popular birth name now. So
it probably is. Yeah.
I mean, I know that there were some kids named Espen back in the day for ESPN. So I mean, actually, Espen is a Norwegian name. So I mean, doesn't make total lack of sense, but they spelled it ESPN. So, so what I mean, you talked about the plans for the Houston convention. You said what 6 parties are currently kind of in the formation stage?
So yeah, there's 6 state affiliates that are in the formation stage. So we're requiring that those states have they be incorporated. They have a real team, a leadership team, and we look into people's track record, and we want a real organization, right? This isn't a drinking club. I'm sorry if you forget your pens. Don't go get gin and juice and call it a day. Sorry, was that a little too pointed? But no, we want serious people to run serious parties, and so, like I said, we have had conversations with other organizations in 6 states. Obviously, if there's a bunch of people.
Oh, we might have lost Chris. It's that New Mexico internet, I think.
At least it didn't freeze on something terrible, like a half sneeze or something like that.
Yeah.
That's always tragic.
All right. Well, we'll work to get Chris back, and we'll look at his nice face just sitting there.
He does look rather peaceful.
Very, very pleasant, yes.
Do you think he's screaming right now?
He's probably trying to figure out what the hell's going on with his connection or something. Yeah. So we can hit some news today. Darryl Perry, I am absolutely super excited for College Football 25. For those who don't know, College Football 25, there's a college, I think it was 14 was the last one they were able to do. And that's before the whole name, image, and likeness stuff started with college sports. And there was, controversy on how to compensate players who were in the game. So now they've got all that hammered out, and they've got all the other stuff going. For the teams are going to be in there. My college is going to be in there because it's their first season in major college football, so I'm super excited about that. Yeah, Kennesaw State, Mighty Owls, first. They're the only team making their debut this year. So, the last time they had a college football
game, somebody good doing their shirts.
What's that?
I hope they have somebody good doing their shirts so you can get like a really cool shirt.
Yeah, well, I got jerseys and all kinds of stuff. But when they had the last college football game, we didn't have a college football team. So from 2015 when we got our first team, played in the football championship subdivision. This year they're going up to football bowl subdivision, playing in probably not the best conference in the world, in Conference USA, but I'm excited. So I'm sure
Yay.
all the college football fans are excited for this game coming out in I think July 9th, and I'm certainly going to be kind of a hermit for a couple days after that when that comes
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah,
um,
y'all. You have something to look forward to.
I
That's
do have
great.
something to look forward to. Also in the news today, Iranian president. And I haven't looked at the news lately, so if he has been found or uh, let's see, they have located the helicopter.
What are you talking
So
about? Tell me the headline.
Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi was visiting the East Azerbaijan state in Iran, doing a state visit. There was a dam being built. He was also meeting the president of the actual country of Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
And after the meeting, after the photo op and all that stuff, they got up in three different helicopters and flew back towards Tehran. Very mountainous area in northwestern Iran, and they encountered rain, fog. This helicopter that they were in is a holdover from the Shah's reign, so it's over 40-year-old
Oh,
helicopter, Bell helicopter.
older
It
than
was an
me.
American
Holy shit.
helicopter. Apparently crashed in the mountains.
Oh
There's
no.
always controversy when it comes to a world leader dying in that manner. Well, we're not sure he's dead yet, but probably. Um, uh, I honestly think this was just a crash. It wasn't like a significant destruction or anything like that, or like
Mm,
the Israelis were doing something. There wasn't a whole lot to gain from killing Ibrahim Raisi, other
yeah.
than this guy was probably going to be the next Ayatollah when this current guy Khamenei kicks it, who's 85 years old. He was kind of being groomed to be the next Ayatollah. So they're going to have to do like Iran's Got Talent and get a new Ayatollah chosen that way, I guess.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, that was awful. But
That was
um,
Jesus.
but yeah, they're going to have to have they're going to have to find a new Ayatollah before the current one kicks the bucket.
Mm.
The last time the Ayatollah, back in 1989, when the original Ayatollah Khomeini passed away, massive riots. They were bringing his body to be buried, and like this massive crowd went and ripped the coffin down and tore the body apart. It was very very bad. So they're trying to yeah, that was bad. I'm sorry.
Then sit down.
Iran's Got Talent. But yeah, so Ibrahim Marisi is now the president. I think we got Chris back.
Oh,
Hey, Chris,
hey.
how you
Hey,
doing? I was just talking about Ibrahim Raisi. They found his helicopter. I don't know if he's alive or dead yet. So
you want to take it back?
I bet that he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, are y'all gambling without Dane? That'll hurt his feelings. Can't gamble with that man.
On ESPN Bet, we can take bets on whether Ibrahim Raisi is still alive or not.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, those.
I thought
So
that.
whether that was an engineered failure of the helicopter or um, the conditions in the video were absurd, I would never have taken off in that. So
Oh no! Well, I mean, I saw the last pictures that they took of the entourage before they took off. It was sunny at this dam that they were at, but going over those mountains, the mountains where
Mhm.
the fog and everything collected. It was raining. I also explaining that the helicopter is a holdover from the Shah era, so it's over 40-year-old helicopter, and Iran's been on sanctions since 1979, so they aren't able to get things like aircraft parts very easily. So American sanctions work eventually, I guess is how you can look at it. But I don't think it was mechanical thing. I just think that they smacked into the side of a mountain because they couldn't see anything.
Yeah. Well,
What are you snacking on?
we had blueberry muffins.
Ah,
Ooh,
a little bit of rare
that's a
Yes.
good answer.
We're having a discussion about the utility of blueberries. My wife believes that they actually have no purpose. Myself and my daughter disagree.
They have
Um,
antioxidant properties, right?
but they make
Um,
lovely
Oh,
muffins
well,
and pretty good tea.
and
yeah.
I do have another one for you because I am team blueberry. They are actually an analgesic for the bladder muscles. So like
Mm.
if you are experiencing a UTI, they can actually give you some relief.
Is that better than cranberry?
So cranberry is a good preventative. But once you're already in the pain, the acidity from the cranberry can actually
Oh,
irritate it further.
well, there you
Urology
go.
nurse, I know all kinds of random
I
shit.
know.
There you
I,
go.
my father's been through a whole bunch of UTIs, and I've never had one. So just hoping to avoid that.
Blueberries.
Yeah.
I yeah,
No,
I hear you, man. I've had enough urinary stuff, even this last month. Had a
okay,
kidney stone a
so
while back, so
I know what's up with your kidney stone, sweetie. It's called Mountain Dew. But you know, you're not going to give it up, so it's
well,
okay.
actually, when I get kidney stones, mostly it's because I'm eating a ton of cheese or drinking a lot of milk because of
Yeah,
calcium. Calcium gets me.
yeah.
I can't do it,
I'm
but
about
I love
ready to
cheese.
go. I'm about ready to become an unethical vegan, and that is, I only eat animal products that I have killed myself, and I think that would work because I eat very little meat.
All right.
Cheese is something I do eat, but definitely could live without. Don't tell my wife; she's
It's
from
been
Wisconsin.
Uh-oh.
it's been 2 years since I've had meat. I eat fish, but I can't eat shrimp because I'm allergic.
Mm.
Um, cheese, it kills my stomach, so I can't eat cheese anymore.
So
So it is
we
stuff you can live without.
we have a lot of elk and deer, so um, keeps
Elk is very
that's
tasty.
the red. If I could
Um,
just figure out if I could, I really wish that like pterodactyls would come back so that I would have like 300 pounds of poultry I could put in the freezer. Just getting them a little half pound at a time just isn't very efficient.
I saw this story where they imitated what the meat of a certain dinosaurs would be like, and that if we ate dinosaur meat, we probably would have died because of the composition of the meats and the atmosphere back then and
Oh yeah, actually, I could see
different things.
that. Very
Yeah,
high oxygen atmosphere is going to do really interesting things to your to lactic acid and a whole bunch. Boy, that could lead to some really interesting blood chemistry.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So um, yeah, I would avoid the pterodactyl meat, but
Well,
if you can cook it well,
I mean, I'm willing to give it a try, and I am looking forward to the return of the great woolly mammoth. I'll be out there with my spear in the ice and snow. Um, Probably have
yeah,
to wear it out for that.
I don't know. I mean, people saw the movie Jurassic Park and they're like, well, let's do that.
That's a good idea. I think it's a wonderful idea. Yeah. So
uh,
uh, tell. I know one of the big things that we've been talking about, we just talked about too, foreign policy. What would be more of the Liberal Party stance on things like foreign policy?
well, again, we have a very limited amount of that in the platform, but I will talk about the parts that we do have, which is we are vehemently pound the table anti-offensive war, right? And secondarily, we are not the world's policeman, right? We are not going to interject ourselves, should not interject ourselves into the affairs of other countries. Having said that, um, mutual aid societies exist at the individual level, and they are legitimate between nation states as long as nation states exist. I know I not a big fan of nation states personally,
Sure.
but they exist, and we have to live in the real world. And so, defensive alliances are legitimate. So we are, this is just there are certain conflicts going on right now where people have strong opinions on about both in terms of what's going on and sort of geopolitical future, right? But let's put those aside. Let's look at all the other warmongering that the United States does. Why do we have $1 trillion military? Are you absolutely out of your flipping mind, right? We can do national self-defense on 100 billion. I'm pretty sure we could do it on 50 billion. Okay. But I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Let's just do 500 billion. Let's just start there. Can we start there? You know?
Oh my God. No, you can't, because then people whine. Like, I mean, remember we had the budget deal where they held defense spending at a certain level for a number of years under Obama, and they whined so bad about that.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a massive budget then.
The wonderful thing about war and religion is that you can justify any amount of money, right? And if you talk about cutting the amount of money that goes into the Defense Department, you're breaking somebody's very, very well funded rice bowl, their gold-plated, diamond-encrusted rice bowl.
Yes.
I have spent a good portion of my life adjacent to these types of activities, and it's absurd. And yeah, there's lots of people that make a lot of money at it, and that is in fact the impetus for a lot of the spending, right? Are we, over the last 15 years, have we gotten $10.5 trillion worth of value out of our military? Really? I don't think so.
Just look at what happened in Afghanistan. I mean, just the final month of Afghanistan. Look at that. Look at all the waste that we had there, just for it to be status quo ante from what happened in 2001, where it was in 2001. Same guys are in charge.
Yeah. And look, there's we can point out a lot of the absurdities in a lot of these areas, and it's also really, fun to play armchair quarterback in retrospect. Well, this is what we should have done. So, I'd rather call us a pro-peace party than an anti-war party, because we do believe in forging economic alliances or strategic partnerships across nation-state lines. I don't know whose aphorism it was, but nations that trade tend not to go to war, right? We're very much in favor of free trade. We're very much in favor of cultural exchange, of freedom of movement. We recognize that there are going to be conflicts, and those conflicts ought to be settled in essentially mutual conversation and in a collaborative way. And we also recognize that it's hard to do that. You have forces within your nation states that don't want that.
Oh, we lost Chris again.
Liberals need to resist the urge. You guys seem to be there.
No, you're back.
Okay.
You're back.
Hopefully it was just a glitch.
Yeah.
We want there to be peace, and we want there, and most importantly, want there to be peace and prosperity, right? And war is the antithesis of peace and prosperity, right? War does not lead to prosperity. There may be prosperity. Yeah, it shrinks everything. By definition, this is destructive, right? So, I would like to say we are a pro-peace party. And sometimes unpleasant things have to happen to get to peace, unfortunately. Let's focus on peace and prosperity.
Yeah. I think a lot of people support certain wars that are going on right now. Ukraine's a big one. To me, it's your idea, mutual aid, that we, if you support what's going on, if you support the Israelis or support the Gazans, you should be able to financially support them through mutual aid. You should be able to support the Ukrainians through mutual aid. That, part of the reason why we got this massive defense budget is that we turn over all these weapons to foreign powers to prosecute wars on our behalf, and those have to be replaced. It's a great program for the Defense Department and the defense contractors, because we send all those weapons over to Ukraine, they get used. They're not going to send them back to us, so we got to replace them. And we buy like 4 for the one that we sent over.
No, but that's actually even better than that, because we don't actually ever replace them, right? There was a story told to me during the Second Gulf War, and it was he was a I can't remember his position, B-52. He was on the crew. He said, at the tail end of that war, Diego Garcia is a base we've had out there in the Indian Ocean forever.
Yeah.
And it's one gigantic arms dump, lots and lots of huge gravity bombs, which are aging out. There was a very expensive program where they were going to be shipped to California, and they were going to be blown up a few at a time every 10 minutes for like 40 years or some such nonsense. It was something absurd, right? It was going to be like an entire person's career doing nothing but blowing up old, Korea era aerial bombs. And so they were loading them up on the B-52s. And what they can do is they can fly at a high altitude, dive, pick up speed, and then turn the aircraft, release the bombs, and they would fly 10 or 15 miles over the border and land in Iraq and go off on the desert. Because guess what? We're going to have to get rid of them. And the deal is that the Allies were going to reimburse us for all our expenses. Saudi Arabia wrote us a multi-billion-dollar check for us bombing the desert for no reason other than to blow up these bombs. It's absolutely nuts. The entire system is based on waste. And not to mention the entire concept is wasteful, right? So it's a wasteful concept executed wastefully. Anyway. We're not replacing any of that stuff. It's archaic. We're replacing it with the new and better stuff that will sit in a bunker.
Have you ever seen the houses of Northern Virginia? They are massive mansions for a reason. Massive amounts of wine country owned by defense contractors. And
well, you remember during the big housing crash, the only area in the country where that didn't suffer a crash was the area around DC.
Oh yeah. In fact, I moved up here around that time. Just after the major housing crash in 2013 when I got up here. But yeah, I mean, everything here is just ridiculous. That's why I had to move out to West Virginia, because it was just too damn expensive to live anywhere near the capital. So, all right, Chris, tell us one more time about your party. Tell us, sell some people on why to join your party and
so you should join to support what's going to be a professional, well-run party that promotes liberty and liberal values, civil society. We are in the process of forming right now. Join, donate, and you can come and be part of the people that vote at the convention December 7th and 8th in Houston. There's a link on our webpage, obviously, to donate and to volunteer. Myself or somebody else will call you if you volunteer, but please bear with us because we've gone from 3 or 4 messages a week to 30 or 40 a day.
You call donors, don't you? You call donors, don't you?
I call donors. I call volunteers.
Which is amazing. Which is not what the current Libertarian Party does. We used to.
Well, I don't really care what the current party does, but I do call.
That's right.
I do call donors. I will note that when I was with that organization you named, I called every single person in Region 1 who had ever donated more than $51. We set the filter at $51, and it took me a year of 4 to 6 hours every Tuesday to call everybody who had ever donated in Region 1, but I got it done.
That's amazing.
I'm not afraid to be on the phone. I've been yelled at a lot. I've also had a lot of people just shocked that they got called. But no, we try to call everybody. Lots of people are not leaving their phone numbers. I do understand that people without gray hair regard a phone as a device to send electronic messages, texting, etc.
Memes.
Well, so if I think I may start just texting people because they seem to be a little less pissed off when they get a text. But half the people leave us an email address. I do love the phone. I'm sorry. See the gray hair? Anyway. But yeah, you'll get a call from me or one of the other board members. We just wanted to say thank you and see what we can do to help you get active in your local area. It is true that you're more likely to be able to get elected in a local area. We've also got a new initiative trying to get Liberal Party people into federal appointed commissions. I'll be rolling that out there after the election because
Nice.
depends on which way things go. There are just enormous number of these commissions that are they're required to have a certain number of members of the commission that are not from the president's party, which gives us an opportunity to actually get in there with qualified people, right?
Yes.
We're not going to do the whole narcissistic, oh, I got to be on such and such commission. I didn't know a thing of what they were talking about, right? So,
Sure.
You want to get me on a commission that has to do with nuclear power, I'm all over that. You want to get me on a commission that has something to do with foreign policy, I am not your guy. Anyway, we'll be doing a lot of stuff like that. Trying to get people set up, and there are lots of programs like the Frontier Project and a lot of the educational stuff that was done about how to run. We're going to try to. We as the National Liberal Party won't be doing that, but we are encouraging our state affiliates to duplicate those programs and to coordinate among themselves to support those kinds of programs. So
that's great. LiberalPartyUSA.org is the website. I encourage you to go check it out. It's Spartan now, but you guys are going to be putting up a platform, bylaws, and all that stuff here pretty soon. And check it out. Volunteer if you can, donate if you can. But Chris, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the Liberal Party USA. Look forward to seeing you on this weekend and getting a drink and watching the fuckery that's about to happen.
If you like, back in the day, they used to stage train wrecks. Right, they would actually get two locomotives and then crash, and they would have people in bleachers that paid to watch this.
Yeah,
right. It ended when a whole bunch of people died. So hopefully, it's not that kind of train wreck.
Yeah. Not that bad, but at least it's going to be a train wreck, and we'll
yes,
be there
it will.
for
It'll be spectacular, whatever it is. So
yeah.
Anyway,
but you're more than welcome to hang out with us and do the quiz if you want to, or you can drop off. We'll take.
Well, tell me what the quiz is about.
So a quiz is the 5 things news quiz that CNN puts out every Thursday. It's a 10-question quiz about news, politics, pop culture, all that stuff. And we try, with the crowd here, our lovely viewing audience, try and answer the questions. And I sold it about as much as I can here.
I'll stay on.
All right, let's do this. Let me hide the chat. Sorry, y'all. We'll post your answers as you put them in the chat, but let me get the caption off. And now we're going to share the screen because caring means sharing. All right, so the CNN 5 Things Weekly News Quiz for May 16th, 2024. So this quiz is everything that happened from Thursday of the week before to Thursday just passed. So anything that's happened this weekend, we won't have a question on IEC or anything like that. But we may have a question on another world leader who Wednesday that happened, that may have had a bad week as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and start. Question number 1. Which phenomenon recently caused the night sky to light up across the globe? Was it the lunar eclipse, supermoon, solar storm, or meteor shower?
Solar storm.
Yes. Am I allowed to? I'm going to go last.
Yeah, no,
I'm going to go last on these. Okay.
Yeah, you're
going to go last.
Yeah, I'm just going to say I don't want to be. I am thoroughly hated in my extended family for my performance in Trivial Pursuit, and I keep reminding people it's about trivia. So don't get too butthurt. But yeah, solar storm.
Yeah, it's the solar storm.
Trish got it as well. And solar storm, correct. Series of solar flares and a coronal mass ejection from the sun recently created dazzling auroras around the world. Strongest flare occurred on Tuesday and was deemed an X8.7, with the X class denoting the most intense solar flares possible. We are we're in the middle of the solar maximum, which I think hits its peak next year. So should be very interesting. Maybe you get it. We did not get a chance to see this aurora here in West Virginia because it was cloudy as shit the whole time. Sucked. All right,
June
question number
3rd,
2.
we have a parade of planets.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a parade of planets, and in 2029 we're going to have a asteroid come between us and the moon. It's going to be closer to the moon. Get
Apophis,
into
yeah.
our Apophis. That'll be an interesting thing too. Question number 2. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have agreed to their first debate of 2024, which is not going to be at the Libertarian National Convention. In which month will the event occur? Is it June, September, October, or November? I know this one.
Okay, we're going to let
Okay,
you
good.
go
I don't.
because I can eliminate
Okay.
2 of them, but
It was not steamed hams.
I'm pretty. I would guess it's going to be September. That's a complete wild ass guess.
So
Well, mostly because I don't believe it's actually going to happen. But that's
actually, so I think the reason why it's going to be this month is because both of these guys are in severe cognitive decline, and it needs to happen sooner rather than later. Janice got it; it's June. So
Really?
they're doing the debate at the end of June, which is odd because it's before their actual party conventions, which means they're not even technically not even the official candidates of their party. They're just going to debate.
I guess they are.
But yeah, they are. Right now,
But yeah,
they're
they
going to
are.
be So, but this would be an interesting thing. Let's say Joe Biden like completely craps out. Like he just, he goes off in the mental wilderness, or Donald Trump today or yesterday was at the NRA convention, and he went mentally wild for about 30 seconds and didn't say anything. So, if Joe Biden does mentally crap out at this does give the Democrats the ability to sit down with them and say, hey, you know what? We're going to go in a different direction at this convention and have a brokered convention.
Honestly, if they were smart with this old of candidates, they would have it like before lunch, before the sundown and sets in, because that's when they will be at their brightest.
Yeah, except for the fact that Trump doesn't go to bed until 9 o'clock in the morning.
The cocaine is really fucking him up. Sorry.
Okay, I have
I'm
to
just
say,
losing.
I haven't listened to anything from him since Freedom Fest in 2015. I was at his speech at Freedom Fest, and that's actually what caused me to stop watching all cable news. I just quit at that point.
That's smart.
But I forced myself to start watching all of his speeches, as in from beginning to end, at his rallies about 3 weeks ago. And then I watched 2 or 3 of them. And I would have to say that I'm betting that there will not be a debate because Trump ultimately will not agree to it, because I don't believe he can get through it.
I don't think he can get through it either, but it's kind of like a 50-50 bet on either side that we may just get 2 dudes just staring at each other. And
check the actuarial tables on what the likelihood. I think it's about 3.5% that individually each one of them will die before the election, right? It's that,
So you're saying there's a chance.
As a devout atheist, I find myself praying for simultaneous blood clots.
All right,
not really. Now
that the NSA is watching us, yes. Hello everybody. Hi, Secret Service. All right, question number 3. Most popular U.S. baby names of 2023 were announced this week. Which name was added to the top 10 list for the first time? Tyler, Noah, Mateo, or William?
Say Mateo.
I was going to go with Mateo as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mateo as well. Let's see what the audience says, because I think
I feel like I know a whole bunch of
Tylers, much more,
and they're all like 25 to 35. I feel like I know a bunch of Noahs, and there's Williams everywhere. Mateo.
Yeah. Wow. In fact, one of the guys I work with, his young son is named Mateo, and with the growing Hispanic population of the United States, I would say that that's probably a good choice. We'll go with that. We haven't seen anybody in the audience. Correct. Mateo made it to the
Yeah.
boys' top 10 list for the first time, becoming the sixth most popular name in 2023, edging Benjamin off of the list, according to recently released data from the Social Security Administration. So, all Russian
Now we
number
know.
4. Which global leader welcomed Russian President Vladimir Putin a multi-day visit? North Korea's Kim Jong-un, China's Xi Jinping, India's Narendra Modi, or South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa?
We're going to go with China on this one.
China. So it's definitely not Cyril Ramaphosa because Putin is supposed to travel to South Africa, I think, next week. And as a signatory to the International Criminal Court, the South Africans have said that if Putin steps, they're by law or by international law bound to arrest Putin if he steps foot in South Africa. Russia, for their part, has said we'll go to war. And yes, China is they answered Xi Jinping. They had a multi-day visit, but yeah, that'll be an interesting story because so far the International Criminal Court said no, you got to arrest him if he shows up in your country. So that'll be an interesting standoff. And I don't know that Russia, outside of nuclear weapons, has much force capability to project anything on South Africa at this point. And I don't think they would nuke South Africa by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting story moving next week. All right, question number 5. Which country saw thousands of residents evacuate this week amid raging wildfires? Greece, Mexico, Iceland, or Canada? I don't know this one. It's flat. I would say maybe it's Canada. The prairies of Canada.
I'm going to go with Canada.
Canada had all those issues last summer, smoking us out. Janice says Canada.
So I'm going to go with Canada because this says Alberta wildfire handout Reuters at the bottom of the picture.
We found another way to find context clues. Here's, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I told you. Thank you for staying.
More context clues. We usually watch the context clues roll by at the top of the page for that. But
that's so funny.
Thank you, Chris. I would never have looked at that. All right, more than 100 wildfires are burning across Canada, forcing widespread evacuations this week. Hazardous smoke from those blazes has also been wafting into the United States, reducing air quality. It happened last summer. There was a day in DC I was walking from our office that it was like a 6-block walk to the metro, and it was rough. My lungs were burning. Question number 6. U.S. grocery prices fell for the first time in a year, according to inflation data released. Which food item saw one of the most notable price drops? The apples, flour, bacon, or rice. Let's see if there's any context clues at the top here. We didn't even look at them. Debate, Kansas City Chiefs,
Wonder what those
and Miss Universe. That's actually going to be an interesting question. I am aware of that one. All right, so I see green in the foreground. I see red. Looks like a little purple back here. This looks like the Fruit of the Loom logo, maybe. Anybody from the audience have a clue? Please help us. Help us, audience.
I think it's going to be apple.
Only hope.
I am going to have to. It's not the
eggs
season.
Is not a choice, Janice.
I'm going to go with. I think it's got to be apples as well, but they're not. I don't know.
That's great that apples have dropped in price. Not a staple of everyone's diet.
Right.
Colin eats one every day.
What's that?
Colin eats one every day.
Oh, there you go. All right, let's do apples. Correct. 2 grocery items saw notable price drops. Apples, in the wake of a supply glut last year, plunged 12.7%, and eggs, Janet, right?
I
But
I
that
was going to
wasn't
say
close.
it's the one thing it wasn't on the list, but I knew the prices are insanely low right now.
Yeah, last year's poster child for rising prices were down 9%. Yeah, they have eggs definitely have gotten better.
Do you think there was some collusion by the producers of eggs to drop the price of eggs? Since that's what they were claiming when the price went up.
It
You think
could
they're
be.
conspiring to poison us with cholesterol or something?
There you go. I mean, that takes care of some of the Social Security questions. So that, and Al Franken's idea of putting Social Security recipients in the military for all of our foreign wars would
Oh,
definitely, would definitely help the Social Security rolls. All right, question number 7. A new Miss USA was crowned this week amid a flurry of resignations. Which state did she represent? Oh, I don't remember.
does she? So the new one. Where's the new one
What does
from?
she represent?
Yeah.
Wisconsin, Hawaii, Pennsylvania, or Texas?
Well, this is up to you, AJ, because I haven't
Well,
done.
let's go back up to
It's
the
cute that you think that I would know
Miss.
that.
Well, you said you were going to do all the pop culture stuff.
This doesn't count as pop culture. This is bullshit pageants.
Hold on.
This isn't
Hold
pop
on. Go
culture.
back up to that top picture. Maybe we can read the sash.
I tried to. It's blocked off by the flowers.
Oh,
It's
that's
Miss.
so sad.
There's an S there, I think.
There is an S, I think.
So,
I think there
What
is,
are our
yeah.
choices again?
But I think
I
she
feel
might
like
have
if
been
it
the one
was
that resigned. There's Texas, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, or Hawaii.
I'm gonna go. I don't have a clue. If the S is real, then I think we're gonna have to go with Pennsylvania or Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Flip
Anybody?
a coin, somebody.
Oh, Trish says Texas.
Go with her.
We'll try it. Oh, Savannah
Hawaii.
Gankowitz is from
Hawaii. Well, we were all of us wrong.
There we go.
All right. Question number 8. Which country built a floating pier that would allow the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza? This one's a fairly easy one. Egypt, France, Iran, or the United States?
Yeah, that would be the U.S.
Yeah. Yep, U.S. built a floating pier that will allow for humanitarian aid to flow into Gaza was anchored to a beach along the besieged enclave. Dozens of trucks are expected to begin moving the aid ashore in the coming days, U.S. officials said.
And immediately followed by the video of the trucks being hijacked.
Hijacked by Gaza insurgents, yes. That's the way it always happens with for humanitarian aid. It ends up going into the pockets of the bastards. All right, question number 9. Which streaming network will broadcast the NFL's Christmas Day football games? Hulu, Disney, Apple TV Plus, or Netflix? I actually know this one.
Don't do sports. Have no clue.
I don't know. I didn't realize there was
AJ
football on Christmas Day. I
our
thought that was the
resident,
Thanksgiving thing.
resident sports expert.
You can tell, right? Obviously, I
Yeah.
look so sporty and
Like a
athletic.
sports ball.
All the balls.
Talking to Fishman is always fun because he is very earnestly talking to me about some kind of sports thing, and I'm just looking at him with glaze in my eyes.
I think that's why Dan and I get along so well.
So Dave, you're going to have to pick this one. You're going to have to rescue us from total lack of knowledge.
Yeah. It is Netflix. They will air 2 NFL games on Christmas Day as a streaming giant. Eyes a major expansion into sports. They need to do something because they've been hemorrhaging cash the last few years. So, which is why you're not seeing as many of those really great shows on Netflix as you once did. So, all right, question number 10. Which chain restaurant is reportedly considering filing for bankruptcy due to slumping sales? Chick-fil-A, Cheesecake Factory, Red Lobster, or Subway?
That doesn't look like any of the colors. It's
Subway,
Red Lobster, or Chick-fil-A.
I think.
I know this one.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we were go for it.
Well, I know it's not Chick-fil-A, and Subway is set up in such a way that bankruptcy would be tough for them. It could obviously happen. But didn't I just hear that Red Lobster closed a whole bunch of restaurants like unexpectedly?
Is that Red Lobster?
I'm gonna go with Red Lobster.
Ken has it as well. It
Ken
is Red
says red.
Lobster,
Okay.
which caused a great panic amongst a lot of people because of the Cheddar Bay biscuits. But remember, the Cheddar Bay biscuits are available at Walmart for you to make if you want to. So if
I was
you're
about to
so
say,
inclined,
Mm.
it probably isn't the
you can make
same.
your own.
Yeah. You could probably add some, like Chris being from New Mexico, could add some green chili into it, which would probably very, very, very tasty.
You always need to eat your vegetables, and green chili
That's
is a
right.
vegetable.
That's right. It's the
All right,
best
so
way.
Red Lobster, really?
God, 9 out of 10. Yeah, so Red Lobster
Wow.
is currently closing at least 48 restaurants in the U.S., according to leading restaurant liquidator. The chain is also tapped a restructuring expert as its chief executive, a possible indicator of an impending bankruptcy. So, yeah, go. I, why is Red Lobster going under when there's Olive Garden? I mean, if we're going
yeah,
to take out some bad restaurants.
um, you know that I used to spend one night a week for like 20 years in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And I would go around to various restaurants, and for a while there, I said, okay, I'm going to go to the various chains, and so I have been to Red Lobster once, and I swear you could. If all I had to do was like look at the table, you couldn't tell the difference between them, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Yes, Red Lobster had lobster and fish as the main thing and so forth, but then you've got a bunch of these other things. They're all the same. And
Oh yeah.
I've always wondered how they manage the same business because, I mean, it is fuel, it is calories, but yeah, never
Some
never
people
saw
just
the
don't.
point.
I mean, some people just don't have taste. I mean, in Albuquerque, there are probably 1,000 restaurants that I would eat at before I would go to a chain. Like whenever I come out to Albuquerque, my goal is to just, there's a few restaurants that I love that I will always go to, but then I will explore some of the mom and pops, the holes in the walls, some of those places that are only open for lunch
Yeah.
downtown, and always have just phenomenal food there. I couldn't imagine going to, uh, you know, uh, somebody wanted me to go to Buca de Beppo, and I'm like, why?
Why exactly? There was
Like,
right before COVID. This immigrant family from Peru came in and started making authentic Peruvian food. You couldn't
got a
get
lot of
into the
Peruvian.
place. You couldn't get in there. It was absurd. I had to go like at 2:00, 2:30. After the lunch crowd was gone, before I could actually even get any food over there. It was fantastic, and then COVID killed it.
Yeah. DC's got plenty of Peruvian chicken places that are just phenomenal. I love Peruvian food.
Y'all are
It's
gonna go
actually
get
harder to
Peruvian?
find Mexican food. Although you're familiar with Little Anita's restaurant, right?
Yeah,
So
it's in
she
DC.
actually she left New Mexico, turned her the Little Anita's brand. I don't know if she sold it to for kids or whatever, but she
Mhm.
moved to Northern Virginia and opened several restaurants around Northern Virginia, just called Anita's. So
Wow. Okay,
yeah,
that's news.
I saw that. I was like, oh, nice. Um, Not quite close enough to me to make a all time trip, but I will if I go to the district. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
or at least into Northern Virginia, I'll go hit those.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for having me on. I really
Yeah. Thank
it
you
was
so much
actually fun.
for joining us. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we try and keep it light. We're not trying to destroy things or anything like that. We just want to have fun. So, but let me get this off the screen before we head out. Just one more plug for AJ's fundraiser. AJ is moving to Colorado next week. No, not next week. Next month.
No, whoa, no, the packing's not done yet. You
Next
made my
month. Let me
heart
give you
stop
some
a
more
little bit.
time. Uh,
No, June the 12th. June the 12th.
June the
I am
12th.
moving to Colorado from Tennessee, and I am taking my 2 boys, my dog, and my cat in a Corolla, and we're gonna drive across the country. And I may post that shit show because that sounds like fun, right? Anyway,
Make a TikTok
um, I don't have TikToks, but I don't know. Maybe we could do political deep dive,
on
like
the road
random
edition.
shots from around the country.
There you go.
Yes, but no, my family and I are moving to Colorado. I did get Colin accepted to one of the good schools. Chris, my son Colin is on the spectrum and is smarter than all of us. And I just met you, and I think you're super smart, I'm sure. Colin, on the other hand, like he was born smarter than all of us, really and truly. He just took a pre-ACT and made a 30 on it. And this
I don't
isn't
even
his
want to
real one yet.
put out what my
It's
number
just,
was.
I don't think I even took an ACT, y'all.
I
Uh,
did.
I know he can't come to me for school help because he was beyond me a couple years ago. So anyway, had to find a good school district. We got him in. I applied for it. He's in the school. We're all good.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it's happening. I've been packing all weekend and becoming less and less sentimental by the day. It's like let's just donate it all.
I,
Let's just
I
find
hope
thrift
you
stores there. It'll be fine.
This
I
is
hope
the
you have a
way.
purge that
It's
Stalin would kind of blanch at.
I've just been really spoiled. I've lived in this house for 16 years, and I've
Oh
had
yeah,
family members and in a village. I grew up in this small town, and we just all took care of each other. And I don't know. I have a lot of things. I have a
now
lot of possessions.
Tennessee has become a political hellscape, and you got to go.
Well, Tennessee, she betrayed my ass with this. Um, I've tried for years to improve it. I have argued with people. I have gone to events. I have talked politics. I have danced on sidewalks. I have waved signs. I have marched for candidates. I have done all the things that I possibly can in Tennessee, and these fuckers aren't listening. So I'm
Yeah,
just going to have to leave now because they have not only passed laws against Colin, as far as taking all of, I don't know, any assistance that would possibly go towards someone on the spectrum and throwing it away and making making it illegal for Charlie to exist in public.
yeah,
Um, most of us do not know what it's like to worry whether or not there's going to be a bathroom you can go to and there not be a problem. That has been an actual concern, and most people can't fathom that. I hope most of you don't have to. I hope nobody else has to experience it. My family, on the other hand, is fucking sick of it. We've got to go where the opportunities are, and they're not in Tennessee.
yeah.
So, hate to break it to you people that are like, "Oh, property taxes are so low." You're going to pay it out in other ways. I promise you.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's my spiel.
Well, best of luck. Donate to if you can. It is right here. Take a picture of the QR code. Not take a picture. I keep saying it. Scan the QR code with your phone camera, and it'll take you to the website for her for her fundraiser.
That was
I'm
good. I
old.
like
I'm
that.
sorry. I'm
It's okay. It's okay.
And feel free to go to liberalpartyusa.org and donate and volunteer and sign up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put that caption back up. Liberal Party USA. .org. So, thank you everyone for joining us. There will be no show next week, as I mentioned. We'll be in DC watching the shit show, and hope everyone has a great 2 weeks. And we'll be back in a couple weeks talking some other stuff on the political deep dive. I hope everyone has a great couple weeks, and I hope to see you in DC if you're coming. Have a great one, everybody.